Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the Jules the Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and then we come back here and talk about it. And today is our final time we're talking about Vinland Saga. We have done a couple of episodes for Vinland Saga, and today's the last time. We're going to be discussing episodes 9 through 12 of Vinland Saga, and then we're going to be picking a brand new anime at the end of the stream. So once this episode's done, we will know what the next anime we're going to watch is. And we are going to rank Vinland Saga amongst the other anime that we've watched here in season 3 so far. A way that you can get an anime added to the chest is with a $5 super chat on YouTube or 500 bits on Twitch. 500 bits on Twitch or $5 super chat on YouTube. If you're watching this later on YouTube, you can do that still. And we'll check it out and add your anime. I don't go on these anime journeys alone. I go with my co-host Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. Just got home from work on a speed walk, so I'm sorry if I run out of breath here at any point. But I'm just kidding. I should be fine. Weather's nice. Spring is here. I'm ready to talk about some anime. Old Man did this set of episodes kind of like really, I don't know, it starts to feel like the show wants to like operate at a scale at this point, and like I enjoy the scale that we begin to get to. But when I say the second the 12th episode ended, I wanted to hit play next, man. I was like, play next, give me more. But I was like, nope, I can't. It'll ruin the conversation. I'll know things that I shouldn't know, and we need to talk about it first. So I'm excited to hear what your final thoughts were about this.
Yeah, I guess overall with these 4 episodes in a chunk, I think I liked them a little less than you did. I think they were, for me, probably the weakest 4. I like you're saying, they're operating at this bigger scope. I mean, last time we were talking about how everything's happening in the world, bringing in real world events into the story that we're trying to tell with Thorfinn and the people around him. But I think it's getting maybe pushing at the edges of the grandiosity of that where I want to go, because right now I'm focused and I'm like, I want to know. I think the problem why, I mean, I still really liked it, but now I'm like nitpicking a little bit because we have given it praise in the past 2 episodes about the show.
Well, it's like, when we have so many good things to say, the few small bad things that we don't like are going to feel like, a lot more prevalent, because it's like, a little thorn sticking in a whole bunch of good, in converse to when there's like, a 50-50 closer balance of things. When you do find those things that like you don't like, it feels like a bigger thing, because it's like, now this thing that I really liked, there's something that I'm noticing that I don't like about it.
Yeah, and I think it's more of a me thing, because a lot of the times in anime you can kind of see where the story's going, and I'm like, okay, here's something I can latch onto. Here's where our destination is, I guess. And here we do have a destination somewhat in Vinland, because that's the name of the show. But right now I'm in this weird limbo where like I don't know the story that they're trying to tell. We're getting a lot of different aspects, a lot of different stuff that we're going to get into, because we get a lot more characters here and shine some lights on these characters. But like, I think I'll like it more once I'm done with the show and I can look back on it and be like, we needed that, whatever.
Exactly.
This was because of this.
These 4 episodes are a lot of what I see. Like, there's this long-term setup payoff that's kind of going on in these 4 episodes, which makes me hungry to see more.
Yeah.
But, and like, I guess the excitement at the potential of payoff is outweighing the decline of excitement that I did have, because there's not as much excitement and not as many exciting things going on. It's really more about like, who has Thorfinn become and what are the challenges going to be like ahead of him from here now.
And there's like a lot of chess pieces moving that aren't big moves, like I'm taking this pawn from you or I'm taking this bishop from you. It's like setting up strategic chess moves, and we don't get sort of the payoff of it in these 4 episodes, but it's building to something, and I'm like, it's we'll talk about it. But let's get into it, because we have to rank this anime and talk about it. Episode 9, The Fight for London Bridge. What happens in episode 9?
Askeladd orders Thorfinn to retrieve Thorkel's head. Thorkel rejects Floki's envoy and begins attacking after explaining he's fighting on the losing side for the excitement. Once Thorfinn reaches the bridge, he fights Thorkel in one-on-one combat and loses to the massive man. Thorfinn escapes from Thorkel as he seems surprised to hear Thor's name mentioned. King Sven decides to move the main forces to the west and leave 4,000 soldiers to continue the siege on London under the command of Prince Canute. And Thorfinn regroups with Askeladd's company, who treks towards Wessex as Thorkel becomes very angry at the retreat of the attacking forces.
That was episode 9. I liked. This is more like of what I'm talking about. The chess pieces moving, people getting into certain places, people getting confronted by certain things. So we get the whole London here. We get London that stood up against all attackers. And now here we are with Askeladd and the crew. And there's one moment that they gave us like 2 seconds of, and it's like super, like the first time that we see the rust on the armor. So we see Askeladd. I don't know if you caught this, where Askeladd's looking out and he pulls some hair out of his beard. Did you catch that?
I don't think I caught that.
It was like super quick when he's like there looking, and then he goes like this. He goes, and then he like flicks it off, and I'm like,
didn't even catch that.
There it is.
My bad. Yeah,
it's
but
so,
I did.
Because of other episodes, like later on, we get some of that, like him sort of breaking down. But that was the first time I think in this episode we're like, oh, time's moving, and this man is growing into something. Or
yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, I feel like, you know, a lot of the other guys in his cohort are just kind of like stuck in time right now. But every time we jump in time and we cut back to him, it's like I'm seeing more wrinkles. I'm seeing more age in his face as time goes forward, and that's what definitely led me to my prediction from last episode.
Yeah, so that moment as they're pulling up to London, he's just kind of like pulls some hair out of his beard, and it was just like, oh, there it is, here we go. Something, it's laying the groundwork for something else. Askeladd says that they are there for the money and sided with the Danes because they have the best chance of winning. Bjorn fights to kill and not for money. So we're getting this. It's so weird because I thought at the beginning the one that took the mushroom would not be this important character that we've stayed on for this long.
I mean, him or Askeladd, you know, in a way. Like, you know, he's introduced as like this guy that like Floki's just hiring to kill this guy. So, you know, you think there's going to be some consequences, something might happen, but the story is going to carry on, mostly focusing on like Thorfinn. And, you know, the rest, Bjorn and Askeladd become very integral to kind of like a lot of the points of the story as we continue to move forward.
That's why, like, I don't know where it's going, because even at the beginning, we didn't expect Askeladd to be such a huge part of it. Like, we saw him as this person that was going to do the deed, and we thought we would switch to Floki. But then they tell this whole other story where Thorfinn goes under the tutelage, sort of, revenge arc for Askeladd, and we get this whole story of him being with him every day. And it's like, how does this resolve? And it's constant. They're looking for control of the River Thames because it has a supply route that they want to use. Askeladd's crew. Thorfinn here in this episode still trying to duel Askeladd, even though we saw him lose the last time we saw him duel, and some years have passed. He is still trying to duel Askeladd. So even though he loses, it seems like it's a very common thing that Askeladd will give him a duel once in a while, and then he would lose and then continue on and still be there. We get Thorkel. We saw a little bit of him before.
Oh, which I did have my coworker who recommended us to watch this. He was talking to me after watching our 2 episodes, and he pointed out that Thorkel is actually the guy that we saw in the prologue with Thor's. It wasn't Floki. And they even and right when he told me that, I was like, "Oh yeah!" And in the prologue, we see the shot of the dude throwing the axe that goes through multiple people, and then it hits the mast of the ship. And that's what this guy did at the end of the last episode. He threw an axe and went through multiple people before hitting the mast of a ship so hard that it collapsed it.
I can't remember everything, man.
I know, that's what I told him. I was like, I'm sorry, I totally don't remember that, but thank you for pointing that out, and I'll be sure to mention that to Jules.
That makes more sense, because they're like, look, callback, and me and you were like,
exactly. And then when he's like, I am Thorfinn, son of Thor's, and he's like, Thor's? Now that holds more weight than it did before. It was just like, I thought it was just some random guy, but it's like, okay, it's his old literal, like, second in command.
It's so
Floki probably doesn't even know him, or unless, like, outside of the legend, Thor's, that is. So when we were talking about the whole thing idea of like personal vendetta, now I definitely think it was more of the king called upon the king's what's his name?
I wrote down the way it sounds in English is Swade, King Swade, but
I think it's Sven. Swain, Sweyn, So King Swain, he probably did try to actually recruit, in my opinion, Thor's, and then Floki was like, nah, fuck that, I'm going to hire some guy to intercept him because he doesn't belong amidst us. I lean more into that concept now.
Didn't Floki go see him, though?
Go see Thor's?
Thor's, yeah. Yes. They hung out and they were vibing. So you think they didn't know each other before then?
I'm leaning more into that concept.
Okay.
Because I thought Floki was the guy that we saw in the prologue, but it's like, okay, now I know for sure that it's not.
It's Thorkel.
So maybe, like, I don't know, just kind of like putting that thought out there now that I'm having new information.
Yeah, now I got to watch that. That prologue a little
now
bit.
I need to go look at the micro expressions again, because everything's set up in different contexts.
I don't know, but Thorkel is a hoot. He's wild.
He's fun to watch. And I definitely believe he wraps beautifully right back into the theme of all men are a slave to something, and he is literally the embodiment of a slave for the thrill of the fight, not the glory of victory, the thrill of the fight, because we see him reject joining the winning side because it's going to be far more interesting to fight the guys that are winning.
That's wild.
That's wild. So funny. And it's just like, immediately I'm like, oh my God, that's an interesting character. It doesn't make sense, but it's interesting.
I don't agree with him. I don't want to be friends with him, but like, he is set in his convictions to have an interesting fight. And he's like, bro, I was fighting with y'all, but to be honest, these English guys, they were nothing. So I'm going to join them and I'm going to fight you now. And I'm going to be on their side.
I'm the backbone and you guys got to get through me to get to them. And that sounds like more fun.
Thorkel's wild. I
holds up massive boulder.
Yeah. So Thorkel is just there sinking ships in this episode, just literally throwing boulders.
The human ballista and catapults combined.
How he's just huge. Like, that's insane, because if you think about it, him and Thor's were on the same squad fighting together, they were probably just wrecking shop. Like Thorkel was drowning ships, and then Thor's was just hacking them away. Like, those two alone could take down the armies. Like, that must have been pretty crazy.
And it's just, I really do enjoy this concept of like, we have this story that's set in a grounded point in history around historical fiction, historical non-fictional events, roughly, loosely, sure. But then you still have like these people performing feats of superhuman strength, and that just kind of like almost doubly plays back into the whole like mythology aspect that was so prevalent at that time, of stories of, all their gods. The easiest I can think of is like, the story of Hercules and stuff. It's like these are the Hercules of the Thorfinn story, the other demigod, so to speak, because it seems to be very tied to like, bloodlines and stuff like that in terms of people's strength.
I definitely feel like if this story was told vocally, like someone like Leif Erikson was telling the kids, he's like, let me tell you the story about
Thorkel and Thor's.
or
Thor's the troll and Thorkel the mighty, or whatever they're called,
And let me tell you about Thorfinn, this story. Well, there was a man named Thorkel, and he would take down ships single-handedly, and it's like that grandiosity of it. And it's like it feels definitely like a story that somebody is telling from the future somewhere.
Exactly.
That he's telling his, maybe at the end it is just Thorfinn telling his story to the kids, like Leif Erikson was.
Exactly. And Thorkel doing those things are just, representations of, now that the English actually have somebody strong and powerful to command under them, they were actually effective at repelling the forces. That it felt like it was just Thorkel hurling boulders and tossing tree trunks at us that was stopping it, but it was really his all the actual contributions that he made realistically.
All the men that he had and the resources that he had, but it felt like he was literally throwing boulders at me. So it does play like a story with having these extra feats of strength or something, but also it is very grounded, like you're saying, where they're actually talking about troops, how Prince Canute's going to lead 4,000 troops to fight London, the movement of this war. The English think they won the war.
The passage of time.
Yeah, Askeladd and crew are going to go to Wessex, and all these different moving parts. At the end of this episode, after the fight with Thorkel and Thorfinn, it looked really cool. I really liked this Thorkel versus Thorfinn fight. Stabbed him in the hand. The back and forth, how Thorkel's like, "Ooh, I like this," and he gets his fingers chopped off. He's like, "Yeah, this is cool. This is great. This is what I
got
wanted."
some spunk.
Yeah.
I thought you was dead. You're still alive. You got a fighting spirit. I like that.
I like it.
I can't wait to fight you again, because I live for the excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And you were somebody that was exciting to fight. Especially that one moment where like he gets behind him and kicks him behind the leg and he starts to fall. Like he was genuinely caught off guard. He's like, "Oh, okay, I gotta get serious."
And we see the growth of Thorfinn in his fighting tactics. We get into his head a little bit in this episode, where he's like, "Okay, let me look at his points where I would usually stab. No, how can I bring this big tree down?" And then chop at the bottom.
And that's what I thought he was going to do. I thought like there's one shot where like he got behind the guy and it was like a low shot next to his ankle or something, and I was like, he's going to come back and slice his Achilles heel. Like, and I flipped out, and then he didn't, and I was like, oh, he lost. Like that's how you take somebody down like that. You literally got a weak spot after weak spot, but he got greedy. He got the wrist and thought, now that I got the wrist, I can go immediately for the neck. But Thorkel, after he got the wrist, he was like, oh, this kid's smart. He's going after my vital points. If I give him my neck, I can just and grab him. Because he literally gives him his neck. That was completely intentional. After he realized his wrist was cut, he knew exactly how to win that fight.
Which shows how good he is. I mean, these guys are crafty. They are fighting consistently. We see Askeladd do some pretty shifty things. We see Thor's with his brute strength, but these guys from the generation before Thorfinn,
they've simply lived longer and
they
have
know what they're
more
doing.
Experience and wisdom. And that's why even Askeladd said in the last episode, he's like, you still lack experience. Like, you have skill, but you lack experience.
But Thorkel also has something else that Thorfinn questions towards the end of the episode, where Thorkel is happy, excited to continue fighting, and wants to fight
Thorfinn.
Thorfinn. Yeah, I'm getting mixed up between Thorkel and Thorfinn.
Yeah.
Wants to fight Thorfinn again at some point, and Thorfinn questions how someone could laugh about killing, about the thing that he's done for many years now, but he's been very solemn about it and doing it because he needs to get to Askeladd, and that's what Askeladd asks of him. So is that a little bit more of his father shining through, and like his father's teaching shining through? Because Thor said back then, he was like, this is not
It's
a
pointless.
game. You don't have enemies. This is not a game. This is like real. So like, don't take it lightly. You know, if you're picking this up, you're gonna kill somebody. So are you ready for that? And he sees Thorkel laughing about killing and doing all this other stuff. So
And he says, what the hell is so entertaining about war?
Yeah.
As he's surrounded by everybody marching merrily onto their next spot, and he's sitting there with like a dislocated shoulder, broken ribs, and sprained ankles, like limping along because Askeladd straight up told him, like, hey man, if you can't keep going, like, pack it up. Call it a day. But he's like, nope, like, this is my path, this is what I have to do, this is what I need to do, because this is all I know. And so he begins to march to his own dismay.
That's why I'm so afraid. Moments like this, I'm so afraid of what Thorfinn's gonna do when it actually happens. Whether he's actually the hand that kills Askeladd and gets his revenge, or whether he doesn't for some reason. What's left, and how much of his life is left?
Something that I feel Askeladd still hasn't revealed to Thorfinn. Not that I necessarily think it would change his mind one way or another, but the show has very specifically not shown it happening. Is like, why did you kill my father? Oh, because we were on a payday. Who paid you to kill my father? Oh, Floki, one of the people that he used to roll with, because he was a deserter. Or I don't even know if he knows that, because he was just paid to kill him.
I think Askeladd is holding that
because he knows that because he's aware this is what he wants. He wants my head, and now I'm going to leverage that against him in order to use him as a tool, because again, Askeladd sees people as opportunities and not as enemies. I don't care if this kid wants to kill me. I don't hate him. I don't want to kill him. He wants to kill me, and I'm going to use that against him because I'm smart.
But then the moment that Thorfinn does get the upper hand and possibly will kill him, that's when Askeladd's going to reveal that final card and say, probably, like, you will not get your full revenge because I didn't kill him for me. I killed him for somebody else. And he'll still have Thorfinn being a slave to something else until he gets that true revenge. So that's...
Or he lets it go.
Whichever
one happens first.
You mean Thorfinn or Askeladd?
Yeah, Thorfinn being like, again, we see in the very next episode, which we're about to talk about, he has a nightmare of his, late father directly telling him, like, hey, do you really think this is what I would want?
Thorfinn can let it go, but I was thinking more Askeladd lets it go, and he lets him kill him.
Let's go
of that whole thing that we're talking about stringing him along.
Oh, okay,
anymore.
Yeah. Because he realizes, the time is no longer on my side. My time has run out, and this is the truth, and so I'm just gonna reveal the truth as he gets what he wants. But ultimately, it'll make it so that way he'll never get what he wants, or he isn't getting what he wants out of this.
Or Askeladd could turn fine and just hold that in, and he'd be like, "I accept it, man. I took a lot of your life, Thorfinn. You were there with me. You helped me out a bunch. I appreciate it. It's my time to go. That's it. I'll let you have this, and I'm dead," without revealing any of that, because I think there's something going on with Askeladd that I don't know where it's going.
I don't know where it's going, but I do have some ideas.
Yes, definitely. Let's keep going. Episode 10, Ragnarok. What happens in episode 10?
After waking up from a nightmare involving his father's revenge, Thorfinn meets Askeladd on a hill and they talk. Oh, is this? Yeah. Askeladd making many comments on the passage of time and how it's on the side of the youth. As a messenger for Canute's army informs Askeladd and his men that Thorkel raided Prince Canute's siege camp and captured him too. Overjoyed by this news, Askeladd kills the messenger and proclaims to his men that they'll rescue the captured prince for a massive reward from the highest bidder as they go out fighting in search for Ragnarok.
Oof.
Or Valhalla.
Valhalla. Hello, Cosmo. Hello. Is there soul crushing logs? No. Well,
we had a moment like that, I think, last week. I mentioned. I was like, log moment.
Log moment. Well, I mean, like Thorkel is literally throwing logs in the last episode. Hello. We get the dream of Thorfinn hanging out with his dad. Thors tells Thorfinn his job is to protect his mom and sister, to stop trying to avenge him. We have not seen, which makes it feel more like a story. We have only seen a lot of Thorfinn. We're not jumping around. We're not jumping around to anything that's, not a whole lot. That's
because like we haven't hopped back to like his home village to see how everybody's been holding up in the meantime. We have no idea what's going on with Helga, Ylva, Leif Erikson, or anybody since basically the day Thorfinn, or the preceding weeks, Thorfinn went missing.
I am so afraid of that as well, that something is going on. What happened to his sister?
What happened? What's going on?
What happened to his mom? They have not
many
shown
years
us
have
that.
Passed.
It's
many
insane.
years have passed.
What is it? What's going on? But that
it also, like, I feel like it's a very interesting way of kind of keeping the audience in the campaign with Thorfinn. Because like we said, when like it was like the campaign, it's time to start. Like now we haven't left England. We've been here with them the whole time during the occupation and the war. And that's how it is for these guys. They go out and they participate in these campaigns, and they have no idea what's going on at home until they come home.
It does feel like we're on the journey with them, because we are not seeing anything that'll help us. Like, we're in that same discomfort. Like, what's happening? Well, I guess Thorfinn doesn't really have anything else on his mind until some of these dreams happen. But you have a mom and your sister, bro. Like, we get it, but like, you have not seen them in years. What's happening to them? Don't you care? And we're in that dark.
Caught up in revenge.
Yeah, it's insane. We are in November of 1013 on the outskirts of Bath, and people here are questioning Askeladd's decisions, sort of, for the first couple times in this episode, because they have been wreaking havoc in England for 10 years. But it's weird because we're starting to see some more aspects of Askeladd here. Askeladd and Thorfinn have a conversation telling him that even the strong die, such is the way. He's like talking like very existential, a little nihilistic.
Yeah. He brings up the whole idea that, we're here now, but the Romans were here before us, and they were even greater civilization than we are now, and yet somehow they fell. The Saxons came in and wiped them out, and now we're what remains. And it's very, you can draw the direct parallel that Askeladd is the Roman Empire, and Thorfinn is the Saxons. Like, time is going to pass and make the things that exist in the present age as new things come into play. And those things that age, they'll wither and they'll decay over time until the new things become so fresh, so prevalent that they take over. They become the new thing. They're in their heyday. And before they even realize it, turn around. There's another new thing coming up on you. You've fallen. You're just a part of the cycle. You're just a part of the loop.
He brings that up with the Romans' fate and all of that. But he also believes in the world being destroyed soon. Or I don't know if he does believe. I guess it's up
Yeah, he
for
doesn't necessarily say he believes in it, but he talks about the story of
of
it coming to
Ragnarok.
an end, the story of Ragnarok, and
Of
that they're now living in the Twilight Age because Christianity states that the world will end in 20 years or something like that.
yeah, and those align with his beliefs or the Norse beliefs. So he's like, "Oh, they're talking about Ragnarok. We know about that. We did it too. Like we thought about that too. So like it must be true kind of." Or I don't know. Honestly, what do you think is his thought process here? He's sort of him and Thorfell. What's his name?
Thorkel,
Thorfinn. No, him and
Thorfinn,
Thorfinn.
sorry.
The boy. The boy. Him and Thorfinn are sort of looking out on the land where the sun is there, and it's like really beautiful. He's sort of reminiscing. Do you think he's coming up to the point where he's finally having to face himself getting weaker, himself dying soon,
Askeladd?
possibly? Askeladd? Is
Yes,
Askeladd
100%.
finally?
That's the reflection. That's the yeah. I'm the Roman Empire, and my reign was great and mighty, but I feel like you said in the last episode, he picked out a gray hair and looked at it. He knows that his time is coming to an end. He has like the the wick is burning at both ends at this point type
do,
deal.
do you think has he feels like he spent his time well, or do you think he's just like, well, the world's going to end anyway, I didn't bother with a wife and kids, so it's fine? Like, do you
So
think he
so so so
regrets
so
that?
so 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 in at the right at the end of the episode before he mentions Ragnarok is coming, there's like one flash sequence of like the back of somebody's head, and it looks like somebody with like long flowing blonde hair. And
Yeah.
I think whoever that person is somebody that Askeladd lost, probably a long lost lover that he once believed that he could have a life with, and for whatever reason that person isn't around anymore is why he found himself where he is now, manipulating people when he once thought that he could just lead a happy life with this person. So if everything that around me is true and we just go out fighting and I end up in Valhalla, I'm going to be reunited with this person. If Ragnarok comes, I'm going to be reunited with this person. Nothing that happens right now matters other than making the biggest bang possible to ensure that I end up wherever she ended up. That could be his thought process. That would be my best bet. Am I
Yeah,
willing to place all my chips on it? No, but that would be like my best bet.
I can see that, because in the same episode, the writer comes along saying that Thorkill's on the way with 500. Thorkill took down four ton of men here, 4,000 men, and then Askeladd kills the messenger, betting their lives to rescue Prince Canute, the second line to be king. So he is taking the biggest swing here, because he's like, after
Swing
that
for the fence
reflection,
or whatever.
yeah, after that reflection period, he's like you're saying, in the line of like, let's get to Valhalla. I'm ready. Like, let's do it. I want to die in battle. Or if I don't die in battle, I'm gonna have all this fucking loot,
Yeah,
bro.
exactly. I think he's like putting himself in the best win-win situation that he can, as well as acknowledging the fact that like he knows that there's somebody that's kind of like after his head, and the second that he slips up, that is going to be that anyways. And I do think that like Thorfinn is right where he continues to say that you got the wrong impression. You seem to think that we're friends. You're manipulating me, right? Like Thorfinn knows, but he's not like emotionally intelligent and aware enough to realize that he's doing exactly what Askeladd wants him to do. And
Mhm.
I think there's going to be some point where like, yeah, Askeladd says something or does something, or Thorfinn has some realization where it's like, yeah, like, man, yeah, he got me to do what he wanted for himself the entire time along the way, and now I am who he wanted me to become. Like I am the Frankenstein monster that he created.
Mhm.
and now I've killed my master,
That
and now I'm just lost.
that's why I'm so afraid. Because that's
I feel that's one of the
the
possible
bad
outcomes
ending.
for sure.
It's
That's the thing. This show has so many like themes and different different ideas that it's presenting that my brain really shoots out in so many different directions. Whereas in the past, I feel like there's been kind of like more of a central through line that I'm certain this
that,
is where the story's going. But with this show, I'm like, I don't know.
that's why I'm like sort of lost here, because I do want to continue to see which ending, but it feels like right now I can't see the ending. And it's like really weird because usually we can, right? We see where it's going, what's going to happen. But this feels like one of those pick your own adventure books where it's like, as much as I know about Thorfinn, as much as I know about Askeladd, they still surprise me. And in the situations that happen, like the surprise in this episode, Askeladd
That's
just,
like cutting that dude's head off.
I was like, I didn't know that was an option. I didn't
Yep.
know that was something. So like,
And even Thorfinn, he's standing there, and even he looks a little surprised. He's like, "Oh damn!"
yeah, like
Oh damn!
as much as I knew Askeladd was a scoundrel, I didn't think of that. I
Yeah.
didn't think he was going to do that, and then
And then you get the whole Bjorn. Why are you riling them up? We have to fight Thorkel. Can we even do that? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, you don't know.
Mhm.
And even like you see Bjorn, like, you know, demonstrate his frustration with what seems like Askeladd's like hastiness to make a decision, and yet nobody calls mutiny. Everybody's like, let's do it.
Let's do it, because why not? Hello Extreme. Hello.
Let's
We're talking
follow
about
Askeladd into
Vinland Saga.
Valhalla.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it, bro. Let's keep going. Episode 11, The Gamble. We don't have a whole lot of time. We got 2 more episodes.
Ooh,
The
you're
Gamble.
right. And we gotta pick a new one.
What happens in episode 11?
Thorkel and his men taunt Prince Canute and Ragnar and the priest for being Christians, laughing and declaring their gods to be greater. Thorkel is ambushed by Ragnar's men, with Thorkel immediately giving up his hostages and taunting his foes into a fight. Askeladd creates a smokescreen by causing a great forest fire, then ordering Thorfinn to retrieve Prince Canute. Cheery to see Thorfinn, Thorkel informs Thorfinn of his relation to his father before the fire overtakes the area, forcing Canute and Ragnar to become escorted by Askeladd's company, Askeladd demanding to see the face of his new detainee.
This episode started off kind of wild. Thorkel's
I enjoyed it.
No. It was really cool.
Wild,
I just don't know. Again, I don't know how it fits in the narrative, because now they're bringing a lot more stuff about religion, because now we hear the Saxons with Jesus. We see Prince Canute, praying and things like that. So it's like with all the other gods that they know. And then now Jesus, Thorkel's crew's making fun of Jesus a little bit, saying Odin and Thor are more powerful. The priest, I think he was a priest. I'm not too sure.
He's called priest. He's called monk. What we would call him today is priest, but everybody does not acknowledge him as a priest because Christianity is not widely recognized at that time, knowing that a missionary of Christianity would be called a priest.
Extreme says, think I should give Vinland Saga a try or not? I think so. I think
at least a try. Try the first 4. Go watch our first episode on the show. See if you agree with us, because we thought it was worth watching.
Yeah,
at least up to here.
We did I think we both agree watching the first 3 episodes, saying, yeah, I would continue if I was watching it on my own. But they're bringing the ideas of the different religions here, and it's a really interesting way that they saw it, because now I think it was in this episode, right, where they're just kind of walking and they're having this long conversation.
There's something similar to it that happens in the next episode, but it's more of an abstract concept of like what creates desire within somebody. This episode is touching more on the base concept of religion, and I understand you're saying that like you're not sure how it plays into like the larger narrative at play in terms of Thorfinn, which I would agree with you, but I do think it plays well into this whole idea that we're on a campaign with these people, we're at war with them, and at this time, historically in war, that was one of the even up to like World War One and World War Two in some ways, war ironically would bridge gaps between some cultures in some ways where because now you're more closely interacting with these different cultures and stuff, you're experiencing the narratives and the beliefs of people from different places of the world that have different life experiences and such. And so I feel like this little moment is just kind of like a way of tying in like, hey, this is like what it might look like if two groups of different religions were to collide at this point, and you have one that just, we believe in Valhalla, yeah, and then one that's like, you know, oh, we believe in being good Christians, we believe in doing, you know, yada yada. So it's a very interesting way of like showcasing that, in my opinion. So I thought it was very interesting to experience, but I do agree that like, how does this relate to Thorfinn's story? It doesn't really.
No, and I don't. I did like that where they're like, okay, come on, man, are you going to continue telling us the story about this? Like, keep talking. We want to hear these stories about Jesus or his disciples or whatever. And it's like that is what it's sort of representing, is the blending of cultures and these two groups of people maybe getting these stories mixed around later on into many years later and then becoming something else.
And that's why I also think it's also really funny where they're just like, Odin and Thor are so much better than that puny guy on the cross. Like, and it's like, I mean, I'm not a very religious person myself, but it is, I think, fair to say that Christianity is one of the most predominant like religions in the world. So it's funny to see like, in this little vacuum of this space, like all these guys laughing at like that Christianity that has gone on to become like a world religion, at their, you know, religion that has more become a footnote of like mythology known as like Norse mythology in terms of Odin, Thor, Loki, etc.
When it's supposed to be this weak man that they were like, who's this guy?
He was a sorcerer. He like walked on water and made bread and wine or something. You better make a bunch of bread. Like it's just silly. And like, I mean, again, I'm not a very religious person myself, but like at the end of the day, like religion is made up of a bunch of stories that are told and passed down over time. So again, it's just really funny, or not funny, but it's interesting to see the show represent like that aspect of history.
Definitely. Askeladd's crew starts a fire. We gotta get going. Askeladd's crew starts a fire. Thorfinn shows up in the fire to take Prince Canute. Thorkel comes to meet Thorfinn. Thorkel again mentions that about Thorfinn's father. And Thorkel tells Thorfinn to take the prince. Like, go ahead, you can have him this time. There's this big sort of showy moment where he does reveal that I did know your father, man. Like, we were buddies or whatever. He has some sort of faith in Thorfinn, I think. Like, I don't know.
What's up with Thorkel?
What's up with Thorkel? Like,
Thorkel is a demonstration of all men are a slave to something, but also he has no enemies. He's not out there fighting to make enemies. He's out there fighting for the excitement of the battle. He wants to fight interesting people. He's made it very clear, hey, I believe in Valhalla. I believe when I die in combat, a Valkyrie is going to come down and pull me up into the eternal goodness of Valhalla, and I'll become a warrior in my afterlife as well. Like, that is what I want. That is what I stand on. That's my conviction, and I'm going to get there no matter what. And he acknowledges the fact that, like, hey, Thorfinn might be fighting under another flag, but like, that's the son of the only man that I've ever met that's stronger than me, and he just gave me a run for my money too, slicing off some of my fingers. That was exciting. I'm interested. I want to know more about this guy. I don't want to just snuff him out like a bug because he's not one.
And Askeladd takes Prince Canute, and a lot of them remarked that they look more like a princess. So that at first I thought when I saw Prince Canute, I thought it was gonna be his sister. I thought that was gonna
Askeladd's
be
sister,
alternate. No, not Askeladd's.
Thorfinn's sister,
Thorfinn's sister. Because I don't know, it had a mask on. We didn't see their body
long hair.
really,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
long hair. So I was like, I thought the big reveal that somehow Thorfinn's sister was gonna be there, but
I did think it was going to be a girl. Didn't know who it was going to be, but
yeah.
like the long hair was definitely throwing me off. The like very non, the very like it's something of that time, but couldn't tell if they were being shy and timid because it's like they don't have anything to say, or if it's because the men are speaking type deal. Like that's something that was very prevalent at that time. And when the second Askeladd sees their face, I'm like, oh, he literally whoever he thought of in that flashback moment, he sees them in Prince Canute right now.
Yeah.
And that's about to change his trajectory. That's what I felt that reveal was intended to be. Like at least whatever he was like, we're getting the biggest bidder, and now it's like, no, I actually care about the safety of this person, and I don't just want to give them away to anybody. I'm going to make sure that I get them to safety.
Okay. Who knows?
I think that's a hidden motive that like he has just unlocked, but again, we only watched episode 12.
Episode 12, The Other Side of the Country. What happens in episode 12?
In episode 12, Askeladd sends a message for reinforcements and continues to be pursued by Thorkel's forces. His call for help is answered by a commander of a Welsh army, Gratianus. The army transports Askeladd across the river to Wales. Askeladd places Canute under the protection of Thorfinn, and while continuing their march through Wales, we see the priest share his concepts of the ultimate desires of men, most not interested in the values he speaks of. Askeladd and Gratanius discuss the implications of Canute taking the throne, and if Gratanius still believes in the old legend of Britannia's revival, just as they are ambushed by an unknown force.
It's interesting you thought Askeladd looking at Prince Canute in that way, because I thought about it completely differently in this episode. Askeladd knew right away that the prince doesn't have the face of a king, that they know that like this person, if I am gonna see them at the top as one of the main pieces on this chessboard, they are not it. They are not the one. But
they're a piece to be moved type deal.
The way that I thought about it, not so much that he has some affinity for them because he sees them as somebody else from his past. I thought either one, he's going to use this as leverage, or that he could shape this prince to be the way that he has Thorfinn, to have him under his thumb the way he has Thorfinn. So that's kind of how I saw it. He's like, this prince does not have kingliness in them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use them like I've used Thorfinn. So that's how
in a way, like, I'm going to use them like I used Thorfinn, but in a way that befits a piece that would have access to a throne type deal.
Yeah.
Like we can use him as a vessel to create like a puppet state type deal.
Yeah.
Like they can be molded, they can be manipulated because they're obviously very like you said, does not have the face of the king, does not have the face of somebody who has made tough decisions and had to go through hard times. And in fact, like one of the first time when they're talking about something super important, Canute's just like, oh, look, a seagull.
Yeah.
Ragnar, catch it for me.
What the fuck?
It's like literally head in the clouds. Literally.
I go back. So that's one part of my brain thinking that Askeladd's still that scallywag, that he's going to use the prince in a certain way. But then I go to that sort of monologue he had where he's like, I'm Rome. Everything's going to pass me by. I'm going to be nobody. I'm just going to be a memory, because he says that prince does not have the face of a king. His future is unwritten. That line makes me think like he wants him out, like he wants better for him, like he wants to this kid
He
doesn't know
can be
war.
anything, and he doesn't need to be filling this slot that he obviously doesn't know how to fill.
So it's like I don't know what Askeladd is gonna do
But I
because
like that I don't know. I don't know. I like the uncertainty. It makes him feel real.
Yeah.
Makes him feel more real and not
Yeah.
like I don't know what he wants because I'm not in his head and I can only take him as his words and actions and move off of that. And we don't know his whole life. We've only known him as long as Thorfinn knows him.
And it's a testament to the anime that with his facial expressions and with the words that he says and the way that the voice actor, especially in English, because I'm still watching in English, can give me that uncertainty because the way he says things, I'm like both ways that he can move because I've seen him move a little bit, but I see him maybe thinking better for himself or thinking that, maybe have a good heart at some point. Maybe there's some redemption in him somewhere in the character. But I'm
And
like,
that
equally, he could go either way. And whether it's flip to page 13 for that ending or flip to page 52 for that ending, that's why it's a flip book for me because I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, it's crazy. We continue moving. The passing of time, they're right on their tail. 2 men as reinforcements. We saw them there, and that was a pretty cool moment where it's like kind of a mystery, like, oh, we got reinforcements as 2 guys, and then they're like, oh, let's take you over. We got you, bud. The boat took them. Wales is the other side of the river. He needs his needs were answered by an independent group, and we meet Lord Gratianus. Lord Gratianus tells the prince that he has to agree to not meddle in Wales' affairs. So they are using this as leverage as well to try and get
which is fair.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, we just saved your ass when you take the throne. Promise you don't fuck with us. Like non-aggression pact. You don't fuck with us, we don't fuck with you. And Canute tries to use Ragnar as an intermediary, and he's like, no, I asked the prince. I didn't ask you. All right, I'll ask again later. Let's go. It's like, damn, I felt the frustration in that.
Yeah, definitely. They get ambushed. Thorkel's on the way. They get like this whole like a few scenes towards the end. Thorkel's on his way. The king looks really bad, like he's dying or something. And then we get a surprise look at Leif, who's still looking for Thorfinn. He sees a boy that has blonde hair, and he's like, is that him? And we see him still have that on his conscience. We're still looking for it. So like we get, it felt, I don't know. It felt like, man, it's putting it in a little bow here, but there's so much left unresolved and we got to keep going. But this is the end for the podcast. So that's the end of Vinland Saga. We watched episode 1 through 12. Now the way that we do it is we rank the anime. We watch 12 episodes usually of an anime to give our thoughts and of usually the first arc. And we rank it on 3 different criteria on animation, storytelling, and vibes. So animation, Matt, what are you going to give Vinland Saga?
I'm giving it an S. I feel as though the animation was really good. The fight sequences were very well executed. We have so many different passages of time that allow us to see different parts of the world, like, a few different parts of the world through different like seasons and stuff. The way when we move from like the longboats on the sea into the campaign in England into the highlands of Wales. I really enjoy all the environments we visit and what happens in them. So yeah, I'm giving it an S in animation. Jules, where are you giving it? What are you giving it for animation?
I'm giving it an S as well. There's just so many interesting things going on. Like I said a little bit ago, it is truly a testament to the animation as much as the story that in a lot of these shots, a lot of them are up close facial expressions, and they're so well done in displaying what they want to display, giving the character full motivation, giving them emotions, changing up the way they look depending on what you want to get across. And I think that is stellar. When all these close-up facial shots, it's very amazing. I liked all the different areas, like you said, that we've gotten to go through, all the different seasons, the passing of time, all of the fighting scenes. We don't talk much about the fighting scenes because we're more focused on the story, but man, do those some of those fighting scenes just feel so intense and epic. Like when he's throwing Thorkel's throwing the stuff, it's like boom, like you can feel the weight of
It's
everything.
explosive when the action does come around. It's like big for
The
sure.
weight of Thorfinn's movements, the way he's the way the motion is and the way he changes his body weight to make different movements. They make sense when the way people fight, except for maybe Thor's and Thorkel, but like they are grander. But yeah, it just looked beautiful. Love the animation in this anime. So good. Give it an S. Storytelling. What are you giving it for storytelling?
I'm also giving it an S because I really enjoy the story of Thorfinn. This archetype of a story, like we've talked about, there's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of stories that do things very similar, but I feel like the show knows the story that it wants to tell, and it tells it really well. There's also, like I was talking about, some other things that don't really play into the grander story, but just kind of like build out the world and set the tone for the time period. And I really enjoy all that stuff as somebody who just enjoys like historical documentaries, historical nonfiction, video games, total war games, etc., stuff like that. I feel like I can get flavor of stuff like that while I'm watching an anime about dudes throwing trees and boulders bigger than houses over their heads. So I just really enjoy the story that it's telling. Jules, where are you going to rate it for storytelling?
I would have given it an S, but I'm giving it an A plus because I'm learning stuff. And I don't want to learn in my anime. They're giving me a bunch of history, a bunch of stuff. No, it's really good. I really like the story that they're telling. I think I'll like it more once I get to the end. Um, it is a lot. So like I don't know. I It's hard because like you said, you like that history nonfiction stuff. I'm not so much into the whole this is what happened, here's how it went down, and I'm like, ooh, this is a lot, so
Bro, give me a map with arrows and numbers and different factional colors, and oh boy, my brain's just like, ka, 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 ka.
yeah, it's definitely a taste, but I'm glad that they don't overdo it and we continue with the main story that I do want to know about. So it is more like an A plus because of some of those aspects, and I think I can give it more once I know the ending or know where we're going, because right now I do feel sort of in this like things are happening, things are moving, but I'm like, I don't know, is the destination Vinland, because there's so many other things happening. Like is this truly the Vinland Saga, or is it really the friends we made along the way? What is it? So I'm with only 12
I
episodes,
think it's
I can't give it an
we
S.
have no enemies we made along the way.
Oh, okay. The real Vinland Saga are the no
Are the
enemies.
not enemies we made
Yeah.
along the way.
Okay.
No enemies.
Vibes. What are you getting Vinland Saga for vibes?
I'm also giving it an S for vibes, and the
Woo!
vibes aren't S in terms of quote unquote good vibes. It's just, again, the show really, I feel like, understands itself and knows how to kind of like set the tone for the themes that the episode wants to roll with, because we have episodes that glorify war and battle and the thrill of it and the strategy and the tactics behind it, but we also have ones that show the tragic elements, and like I was saying, all the other things that come in between, the way the show subtly showcases how like the blending of cultures could happen during war times and stuff like that too. It's just, no, every scene that was happening, I feel like I was getting something out of it, and for me that's S tier vibes, where there's no moment where I'm just like, man, what do I care about right now? What am I supposed to care about? Like I feel engaged consistently, and for me that's where the S tier vibes come in, is like the consistent, I'm engaged, like keep the show going, next step, next step. It's one of the only shows where like after we finished the podcast the very next day, I watched all four, couldn't stop myself. So S tier vibes for me. Jules, where do you rate the vibes for this Vinland Saga?
I give it an S as well. I really do like the anime. It knows what it's telling. It knows itself, and I really believe in a lot of the characters here. I believe in them being human, being
Mhm.
more than just something that's on screen. They have different motivations and things get complicated. And I
Mhm.
see that. I really like that sort of peril that these characters are in, that I know what this person's about, but I don't know what decision they're making. And it's tough, but like I'm living in it and they do it so well in this show. I really just think this is a good one. Like I don't know how to it all just kind of came together. Like in the animation, in the music that it shows, showing more than it's telling. I think
Mhm.
this is probably the best anime for it, because you have to pay attention and watch um everything that's happening,
Yeah,
because
like you
they
said,
are
that one
giving it
little
to you.
the one little moment of him pulling a gray hair out of his
It
beard, man,
changed
that adds so
so
much, and there's not a single word in that moment.
it adds to the whole moment he has in the next episode, because I'm like, oh, is he thinking about his longevity? Is he thinking about
He's
his life?
actually thinking about it, and he's not somebody that just exists in the present. All the characters are people that are developing as time moves forward, which makes them feel real.
Hmm. I like it. I like the show. Oh
We don't get a
man,
lot of shows that like allow us to view this much of a passage of time,
no.
because we are seeing Thorfinn's whole life played out in front of him
Will we
over the
get
course
his
of
whole
like
life?
15 years, 10 to 15, 11, 12, so many years so far, somewhere in the double digits. So it's
I'm
just very interesting, where in other shows we see months or a few years maybe.
I'm so curious if this show just continues on and we just see him as an old man. Like it's just Thorfinn's story. That's insane. Anyways, we gotta go. What
I
is
have no enemies.
Yeah, he dies at the end. The final ranking for Vinland Saga is S tier anime.
Hell yeah.
S tier anime. Definitely go see Vinland Saga. We're gonna keep on watching it, even if the podcast doesn't watch it. But like,
Mhm.
it's so good. I am very happy, and thank you to your coworker. You said
Yes.
that let us watch it. I read the first two manga volumes, but now I think if I dive back into it, I will have a better understanding of what's going on, because it was moving very fast for me in the manga, and we were time jumping a little bit. I'm like, whew, it's good. But watching this, I think I could fully appreciate it now if I go back and read the manga or
That's
continue
fair.
reading it. We have a ton of anime to pick from. All of these are suggested by the viewers or me or Matt. These are the anime that we could be watching for the next 3 weeks. Any of these here to submit a anime for next time, maybe. $5 super chat on YouTube or 500 bits on Twitch. So the next anime we're going to be watching is
Soul Eater.
Soul Eater. Soul Eater. That's an
Ooh,
old one.
that's 2000s classic.
I gotta
It's
say,
newer than Chrono Crusade, I think. But
it gives Chrono Crusade vibes in the art style, because I have read. How many do I have?
I have
I
no
have
experience with this show, no manga nor anime.
4 of the omnibus manga, the perfect editions. So I've read 8 volumes of the manga. So I've read 8 volumes of the manga. I really like it. Don't think it's for you, but I'm ready to see what you think. I don't
Oh
know if it's
boy.
I don't think it's your perfect anime. I think
Yeah,
Vinland Saga and what's the other one you like
Code
with
Geass.
Britannia? Code Geass.
Yeah.
That's your perfect anime.
Bro, I've been
I
watching more Shangri-La Frontiers. Man, that shit gets crazy. That shit gets
oh
crazy.
oh
Anyways, Weathermon the Tomb Guard. Oh my god, it finally I fight
we
4
know.
episode fights. 4
Oh
episodes.
oh my god.
imagine
They Dragon
talking
Ball
about
Z'd it.
one fight for this whole hour. But it was good the whole time.
Dang. We're gonna talk about this
Sorry.
fight for the whole episode. Soul Eater. Watch episode
Soul
1 through
Eater.
4 of Soul Eater. I got to figure out if it's on Crunchyroll. Hopefully it's on
I
Crunchyroll.
think it's on Crunchyroll.
Okay. Episode 1 through 4 of Soul Eater. We're going to talk about it next week.
Crunchyroll.
I
And
like.
Hulu. We'll be watching it on Crunchy.
It's cool. Matt, when you are not on your saga towards Vinland, where can they find you?
I've been in big offline vibes mode, but you could follow me
Same.
on my socials at it's Matt_Galley or on my YouTube at Matt_Galley. I just be playing board games. I've been playing a lot of solitaire board games, and that's the vibe. Jules, when we're not here talking about the sagas, where can the people find you?
At JulesTheHuman, at JulesTheHuman on all social media. I've been pretty offline in the past couple months as well. Just been watching a bunch of stuff. You can follow the podcast here on wherever you're watching, whether you're watching on my channels, whether you're watching on Matt's channels. Give us a follow. If you want to submit later on, they're only on my channels because I think I have monetization on YouTube. $5 super chat if you want to add some anime later on. You can watch this podcast wherever you get podcasts. And don't forget to watch Vinland Saga next week, or don't forget to watch Soul Eater. We just finished Vinland Saga. Soul Eater 1 through 4 next week, and we'll talk about it. Hopefully you watch it. Give us your thoughts, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.